Good morning. So let's try and film this answering questions whilst driving. Probably not a great idea, but so Mr. Cass said something along the lines of, if awakening is so simple and easy, then why is it so hard and almost impossible to attain for most people? And then said something like, it's hard. So yeah, it is hard. And non-duality is the only thing that doesn't have to be a certain way, or it can be two ways at once, or both, or neither. So it is hard until it's not. And the struggle, the hardness is real, and nothing I say is I'm saying it to diminish or downplay how hard it is and how hard it seems and all of the struggle and suffering associated with it, because it's very real. Be it an illusion, the illusion has its own relative reality. But in that world of people being awake or not awake, or me struggling with this or trying to find something, yearning for something, trying to find myself, that uncertainty, that world of thought and belief and struggle, that's almost a world in itself, a world of the person, of the mind, that exists in itself on its own, with its own limits. And for a long time it seems like you exist in and as that, with this world of rules, or in this world as a person with other people, with or without something, awake or not awake. And it's almost like what I'm talking about on this channel, what I'm pointing to, just isn't in that world. It's more free than that, it's out with that. So when you're looking for it, you'll never get it. It never happens. That person never becomes satisfied and says, now I'm awake, and that's it. And then that doubt, that it just doesn't work like that, and it's so hard for me to describe that, because we're so used to looking for things in a certain way, looking outwardly for things, chasing something, attaining something, a goal through the usual means, and reason and doubt is a big part of that. But when it comes to awakening, reason and doubt just isn't there. It's just not there. It's beyond all that. And it's almost like, I mean, it's easy for me to say all there is awakeness, and there aren't asleep people. All there is awakeness. Everyone is awake. Awakeness is all there is. Anything that seems like a person who is not awake is imagined, is a dream, is an illusion, comes after an inside awakeness, and then it seems like we get trapped in it. It seems like we're identified with this thing that seems so real, and it seems like it's been happening for such a long time, and we're stuck in it. But it never happened, and it can be hard to hear that. For the mind, because the mind never hears this, but it never happened. Something else hears this message, and it doesn't make sense to the mind, but on some level it's like, I know that I know that's true, or I know something's true in that. But the story of the person, the thing that we seem to be stuck in, it seems so real, it seems so doubtful and uncomfortable, we can't seem to get it out of. It's like a habit that's just been happening for such a long time. This me that's built up that feels so real never really happened. And all those memories, all that time, all comes down to it only just appears in the moment. It only just appears right now as one thought, one belief. In that thought and belief, it's charged with a power that makes it seem like a lifetime's worth of me. It's so weird that way, and it seems so real. But we're always just one thought, one belief away from what the person would call awakening. I usually call it recognition. Because you simply recognize, or something simply recognizes, that whole story of the seeker, that whole story of struggle, that whole lifetime of me is just a thought. A very potent thought with a strong belief suggestion of me in it that appears right now in the moment, and continuously appears right now in the moment. Just one thought. How wild is that this whole illusion, all of it, only ever appears as one thought in the moment. It's like paper thin, but it feels so real. And I would never say to anyone that you know, that's just not real. There's no self, because you know, if someone tells me they feel like that there is a self, there is a seeker, then that's fucking true. That's true, because in that moment, that illusion, be it an illusion, is very real, and the associated struggle there is very real as well. And very uncomfortable, very painful at times, very frustrating. But it's almost like imagine you believed in. So Mr. Cass, was it the person who asked this question? I'm gonna say, imagine I was a person, and I believed in you so much that you will wake up. That maybe I have useful things to say that might help you, but I would just be like, it's not worth saying that, because you know, I know you're going to wake up anyway, so let's just move on to something else. Like, I just knew that, you know, imagine that level of confidence in you as, let's say, an awakened person. I would say I'm more confident than that, and it's not like this, right? But this is just an idea. I'm more confident than that you are awakeness, that I don't even need to really bother trying to convince you or tell you something. You know, I'm not saying this to sound harsh, but to me it just doesn't matter, because all there is awakeness, and you know, you are awakeness, and that's really the most obvious thing there is. And when that's the most obvious thing there is, then, you know, it's not so serious, it's not so, I know it feels like that when you're struggling with doubt and the mind, but the very fact that you're here, the very fact that you're asking questions like this, and I can sense that there's something in you that recognises this, that knows this. Even before all that, before I had any of that information, let's say, or felt any of that, it's clear to me that it's done. There's not only is there only awakeness, but the very fact that you're here watching these videos, that something in you is recognising itself, and there might be doubt over the top. It seems confusing, it seems hard, like you said. It's just done. The awakening, let's say on the relative level, if you'd like to call it that, is done. It's happening. That's the awakening, asking this question, that conflict that is there, but it's so hard. But what if people can't wake up? And then the knowing that is subtle, but is behind all that is driving this curiosity, driving the asking of these questions. That's just awakeness recognising itself, and in that sense, it's done. It's done. The awakening is playing out the way it plays out, and other than that, you know, it doesn't really matter. It happens the way it does, and it kind of seems like we get in the road of it sometimes, but we never really do. So let me see if I can. I'm not going to attempt to read this whilst I'm driving, because that's just crazy stuff. Of course, right. Okay, so next question. Right, I'll just do a couple here. Okay, Anne, I think, asked, how do I surrender / release? Can you do a video on this? Thank you. So I think I responded a comment to this one, basically saying that yes, surrender is just kind of like, just noticing, and then that's it. It's not really like something you do, or it doesn't really seem like that. Just noticing it, and releasing isn't something that is a choice. Let me use an analogy for this, or attempt to at least. So say there's an optical illusion, right? So I saw this optical illusion thing where it's like I don't know if anyone else has seen this. I could probably use a more simple one, but say there's like I saw this optical illusion where it's like it's a model, and it presents the image, and this one was like a house, presents the image of like a 3-dimensional house, and you're kind of walking around and it looks like a house, and you walk, you kind of move, or it moves, or you move around it, and this 3-dimensional house is coming out at you, and you walk around, and something doesn't look right about it, but you're like, yeah, that's 3D, it's definitely a house, and you keep walking around, and then you get to a certain point, and you pass a certain point, and then it changes, and you look at it and you see that it wasn't a 3-dimensional house sticking out, it was almost like an inverted model, like a hollowed out kind of, this is probably a terrible analogy, a hollowed out, has anyone seen these model thing that creates the illusion, your mind creates the illusion of a 3-dimensional house coming out at you, but you walk past a certain point, you see that it's going in the other way, it's like a hollowed out kind of shape, and from certain angles it looks like this 3D house coming out towards you, just like it looks like a real house, and then you're like, oh, that's really weird, someone's obviously designed that knowing that your mind makes it look like a certain thing from a certain angle, and it really messes with your head. But once you pass that certain point, you don't see the 3D house anymore. I realise probably hardly anyone's probably seen this thing, yeah, see, right, another more easy one. Say you go to 3D, you know, 3D movies, you've got the 3D glasses, and then or you used to get these things in magazines where you put on the glasses and it's like a strange looking picture, and then you put on the glasses and it pops out the page and it's like 3D. If older people haven't been to a 3D movie, you see it comes out and it's like a dinosaur or an alien or something like that. I used to get them in the kids magazines when I was younger. You put on these green and red glasses, and then you look at the page and it pops out at you as 3D. It looks like 3-dimensional. And then you take the glasses off and it's not 3-dimensional, it's just a bit of paper with a weird looking pattern on it. say you started off looking at that with the 3D glasses and you're like, oh, this is weird sculpture coming out of the page, and it really looks like that, and then you take the glasses off and then it's just a flat bit of paper. But when you had the glasses on, it really looked like a three-dimensional object. It's kind of like that. It's once you take off the glasses, or once you walk past a certain point with that illusion, you see that what you were seeing before wasn't what you thought it was, and then before that you're it's something weird about it, and you're looking at it and you're like, what is? It looks like a house, or it looks like a 3D thing. There's something in you that knows it's not right, and you're kind of trying to figure it out, and then you pass the point, and then you let go of that energy that's like, something's not right about that looks like a house, but and you're like, oh, it's an illusion, alright, okay, and then you let go of the whole thing, and then that's where the interesting thing is, that's where the fascinating thing is, that's what the trick is, that's what makes it seem so weird, so cool. That whole, is it 3D, is it not 3D, something doesn't look quite normal about that, what is that? And then you pass the point, take off the glasses, and you're like, oh, okay, and then it's kind of like the game is over, the trick is over. I would describe it like that. It's a very long way to describe it. I would describe it like that. It's not something you do, it's something that is just noticed, and then when it's noticed, the illusion is done. The illusion is done, but before that point, it really seems like an effort. It really seems like someone's trying to figure something out. Something kind of needs to get something. But then when you pass that certain point, you also see that you weren't gonna get it. Not until you took the glasses off, not until you walked past that point. You weren't gonna get it because the illusion was too real. The illusion was too confusing. The one trying to figure it out, the one looking at it, wouldn't have figured it out unless they took off the glasses, unless they walked past that point. I don't know if that's a good way to describe it, but so it's like just noticing is enough. Just noticing, and at a certain point the glasses will fall off, or you'll walk past that point and you'll notice that it's an illusion. The thinker is an illusion. The one who owns the thoughts, the one who's trying to figure it out, the one who resists the thoughts, just simply isn't what it seems to be. And then once you see that, it loses its power, and it's not a problem anymore. Something else, something more real comes in. And then in hindsight, the whole problem of the seeker, the whole tension of the one trying to figure it out, just seems like a bit of a farce, a bit of a joke. But at the time, when you were in it, it's very real. It was very real, very real. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go now, but I'll talk to you next time.